Welcome back to Night Mind, welcome back to Cabin Fever Dreams, and welcome back to one of the best new kids media horror projects in the unfiction scene. Friends, I am Nick Nocturne. This is Act 2 of Giggleland, and if you aren't acquainted with Giggleland yet, I'm going to need you to sit down and watch the first video to know what this even is and what's gone on so far, where the plot may not make much sense. You're walking in here for episode 2 at this exact moment. Literally, if you'd like to enjoy the opening act of the ride, go to this first video. I've got an info card right now and the link in the video description. But if you're just in need of a refresher, then let me see how fast I can pour a glass. Giggleland is an upcoming Steam game about a wonderful theme park revolving around two kids, a shy cat named Eliot who becomes confident in his magician outfit, and a brave dog named Ella who encourages Eliot in his self-esteem adventure. You'll play as Tolly, a girl whose name is oddly an anagram for Eliot, looking for her missing father with the comfort of her plush rabbit Rory. All of the elements in Giggleland aside from Tolly are the work of KMW, Kids Media Workshop, a children's therapy program that makes cartoons and other materials for kids, guided by the children in their care. This, we've learned, is the socially acceptable side of an isolating commune responsible for abductions, led by Terry, whose views on behavioral learning and child psychology may be shocking. Eliot and Ella are characters designed by a woman who was a child in the workshop commune named Debbie, who seems to have been named Laura when she was led there by an adult she trusted back in winter of 1990. She designed the Eliot and Ella concept as she was growing up with a boy named Simon, and they became romantically involved, resulting in a pregnancy. Debbie fled the commune with her infant daughter, Sarah, and the Giggleland project suddenly appearing online in 2025 with KMW's old websites, media, and the Eliot and Ella cartoon seems to be an effort to entice now 18-year-old Sarah to give up her location through a desire to know where she comes from and why she's lived such a sheltered life. It's suspected that her inquiries will drop her and Debbie right back into the clutches of the commune if she isn't careful. And we're here, observing all this in action, with the same drive to get to the truth, urging Sarah on, acting like an Ella to her Eliot. We have the Steam page, the Giggleland website, the Kids Media Workshop site, and Sarah's Tumblr blog. When we last left Sarah, she had accessed more than just some of her mother's old drawings indicating art ability in the commune. She had found a VHS tape in the basement, an episode of Eliot and Ella titled Making Friends. Her mother's name was in the credits, and her father's, but the first shock for Sarah was the way the episode actually went. While players asked her what she saw, she was too shaken up to tell us and simply stated that she'd be gone for a bit. That was on January 18th. On March 28th, Sarah returned, apologizing for the wait, and explaining that she still isn't entirely okay, writing, "That night I saw something that won't leave, and no matter how hard I try not to think about it, it just keeps coming back, and I don't know what to do anymore. That was one of the worst nights of my life. I had a panic attack alone in that basement, and I couldn't call for my mom. I just wanted someone to hold me and tell me everything was going to be okay, and what I saw was a dumb joke, and I would be okay. I cried alone for nights. I wanted to call my mom or even my dad if he's still alive. I just wanted someone to be there. I thought writing about what I saw would make it worse. I thought if I never went back into the basement or I never came back here, I'd focus on something else and put all this behind me. It didn't work. If I wasn't thinking about the cartoon, I thought about Simon. Part of me wanted to search for him online, but I was scared of what I would find. He hasn't been here for me or mom anyways, so what's the point? Nothing worked. Nothing stopped these thoughts. But maybe I shouldn't deal with this alone." We've got to keep perspective here. We're an audience of people familiar with kids' media crossing into horror, violence, scary imagery, dark topics. Sarah has been deeply sheltered her whole life, and did in fact see whatever was on that tape in the basement, trying not to get caught by her mother. It would have hit for her much, much harder than it does for any average person viewing this kind of stuff online. A few days later, Sarah's back, thanking those who sent supportive messages. No, she doesn't want to talk about the Eliot and Ella episode, or Eliot and Ella, period. She does want to know what her mother was involved with, why she left the commune, and is unsure what she'd like to know about her father or her mom's uncle. It's a tough situation. Sarah literally responds to someone encouraging a report saying, "I don't know when I'll be ready to talk about this without my chest tightening each time I think about it or the sudden pain in my head when I see those images." We soon learn that Debbie is watching her closely and mentioning that she can tell her anything. It's obvious Debbie knows she's hiding distress. The messages to Sarah are also striking a different chord now. She's actually getting combative and going for harsh language. The badgering is too much, and she snaps a bit, then apologizes, and chooses to engage only with messages that she likes. March 31st, a bit more talk about her relationship with Debbie. Mom and I haven't talked much. I think she knows something is wrong, but she'll never ask me. She tells me how tired I look and scolds me for sleeping in late. She thinks I'm not doing much around the house, so she's given me more chores. I think I do them okay, but she's made comments about how I'm being antisocial, which is really funny considering our situation. I tell her I don't feel well. She'll give me some medicine that tastes terrible, then changes the conversation. We've talked about online college, and she gave me my laptop back, but she changed it. There's a timer set on my computer, and now if I use it for too long, she'll lock me out. I asked her about it, and she said it's to help me focus better, which, I don't know, it feels weird. She makes me keep my door open now. I hear her when she walks by, so I hide my phone and pretend to do something else. If I can't go on my laptop, I usually play a game, but I can't do it for too long without the thoughts running back in. It's like my mind can't be quiet for too long. It gets loud and heavy, and it's exhausting. Let's take a moment here. I want to highlight how well Sarah is being written in a situation that takes the whole context into play. As players, we're not just dealing with a plot device. This is a character. This is a person who is undergoing anxiety as a result of an action taken progressing the narrative. Sarah has been affected by viewing the tape and must be handled with care and consideration now. This is a realistic version of dealing with Eliot from Ella's position, you might say, without, the urging towards violence. There's realism here in the writing for Sarah's condition. Touch and go stability, some days dealing well, other days trying to live through the intrusion of anxious thoughts and the exhaustion that comes with that. You've got to take a moment to put yourself in her shoes, especially after being told she doesn't care for horror in Act 1. Think back. Do you recall what it was like as a child to come across something horrific in media you didn't understand? The way it stunned you, changed your worldview, informed your mindset, how it worked on your nerves in the immediate aftermath. Ideas in storytelling about characters sharing stories of what genuinely scared them as children resonate with us. This is an understood and recognized memory. Sure, you've outgrown it. You know the moment passed. But for Sarah, this is new and very compounded with the facts of her situation. This is a personal horror. This is informed, intelligent character writing. It's also a new challenge for players to contend with in getting the narrative going. This is a story about children and therapy, right? 18 years old, but sheltered enough to be a child emotionally, we know Sarah is a fragile young adult. Can you take the psychological support position that helps Sarah heal from this shock and assist her bravery to keep investigating? You're playing in the themes of the narrative now. On March 31st, she continues. It's always there. Even when I try not to think about it, I can never escape it. The basement window is behind some tall grass. I guess Mom doesn't mow that area. Maybe she thinks keeping it hidden will make it go away, just like how she hides everything else. I think she saw. Mom called me as I was staring out the window. She got really quiet when I looked at her. She told me to come in for dinner and close the window. I have no idea if she'll say anything at dinner. And this brings us to the counterpoint, understanding Debbie's background. She's traumatized too. The way Sarah doesn't even want to write out what she saw, Debbie doesn't want to explain what she's lived through. Of course, some explanations can help Sarah and give her the understanding of how unsafe the commune was. But Debbie would need to be ready to talk about that after getting this far in life, not doing so. So we won't talk about it, Sarah confirms next. She didn't bring up the basement. She either didn't see me or she thinks if she hides it like everything else, it'll just go away. Because that's how we deal with everything here. I wasn't sure if I should have brought it up. I wanted to scream at her and tell her everything I've seen because she won't tell me anything. I wish I could forget it. I can't. But I know if I bring it up, she'll take away my things again. Because I can't escape from this. I can't run away. I can't fight it. I'm just stuck here and I hate it. Fuck, my head hurts. My eyes feel like they're burning. I'm going to shower. I've noticed Mom doesn't say goodnight when I go to bed. She just stays in her room reading or on her phone. Part of me wants to tell her I'm going to bed so maybe she can say it, but I don't know if I really want that. I don't know what she wants from me. I don't know what she wants me to do. I don't know my own mom. Then, Sarah contemplates the basement, and if she'll find something worse or meet her mother on the way. Then she notices her mom's door is closed, and she's not tired, and her heart is beating so fast. She goes to walk or get some water, and stands outside the basement door, posting from her phone. She's thinking about the key, then feels around for it. She's making typos, using the posting as her lifeline, typing fast, sending fast, allowing it to encourage her actions. This blog is her only courage. Sarah gets the key. She holds it. It feels cold. She went through this effort already to get it. Sarah descends the stairs, pinching herself. It's not a dream this time, which tells us she's been reliving this night. Sarah moves through the suffocating amount of boxes. She finds the tape and wishes she could throw it away. Suddenly, the lights flicker. There's no bulb where that came from. She panics and rushes out of the basement, then throws up, putting the key back. When she returns, the typos have calmed. She cleaned it up, but feels disgusting. The next morning, Sarah reports she woke up to find Debbie sitting on her bed just staring at her. No freaking out, no anger, just nothing. She asked me what happened. I guess I didn't clean up well last night and there was some vomit on the fridge and the floor. I told her I woke up not feeling well and tried to get some water and it just all came up. She thinks I'm coming down with something. I'm stuck in the living room while she works so she can keep an eye on me. I may not be able to talk a lot today. Fuck, she's coming back. I have to go. And at this moment, so do we, as the developments in the ARG outside Sarah's blog are about to pierce her line of the narrative. On March 30th, the Giggleland website was declared fixed in an official announcement on the server, opening awareness of Act 2. And the site does look better. It's a little more put together with the menu on the left now gone, the under construction banner removed, and changes to the screenshots. Before, we had the image of Tully investigating the character-actor station from Eliot's perspective in the dark. That's gone, replaced with the moment from Tully's perspective, now without Eliot in the background, and the shot of the maintenance tunnel from Steam. The news page now works, with a few points KMW wishes to address. Josh, the only point of contact previously, has decided to move on to new opportunities after 3 amazing years with the company. KMW wants to make it explicitly clear they have no knowledge of or association with an individual known as Sarah. And, regarding recent events, KMW Games would like to address the recent circulation of unauthorized materials related to our properties. We have become aware that certain episodes featuring characters Eliot and Ella have been distributed without our consent. We kindly request that our community refrains from sharing or distributing these materials. I'm actually not entirely sure what to make of these postings, especially the first 2 in conjunction. KMW didn't authorize the materials related to Eliot and Ella, but they also claim no affiliation with Sarah. Why even address that if this is just one big trap to catch her and Debbie? The facade works a little bit better if they just claim the Eliot and Ella material wasn't officially authorized for release, but that's also tough to do when Episode 3 is directly attached to the Steam Info by its video link code alongside KMW. And that starts the entire chain of events that leads us to the missing person report for Debbie when she was Laura. Assuming this is all the work of one person or the commune. Unless something changed in the operation of all this behind the scenes and the commune saving face is actually in place because... Okay, wait. Wouldn't that make the Josh disappearance make sense? The contact page is gone now, right? The old contact we did have, Josh, which led to the old Kids Media Workshop site containing the missing persons report getting the ball rolling, is now inaccessible to us, apparently dismissed. This breaks the link in the narrative chain on purpose. No Josh contact, no automated email, no link to KMW's old site where everything was given to us previously, with only some elements hidden in the Giggleland official site. I think I understand what's happening here. Narrative justification for this is actually simple. I'm not going to say it's 100% lock, but there's a reasonable possibility. There's been a split in the forces at work running this whole effort. And what's more, evidence from Act 2 leads me to believe questions that would be raised about the legitimacy of the actual KMW putting up this game with its dark adult elements have answers. It's going to take us a bit of time to get there, but I see how the pieces make logical sense. The About page has been fixed. Now you can use the character carousel, reading about Tolly, Eliot and Ella, and Tolly's plush Rory. Approach the guest book, and you'll find the feature has been permanently removed to protect the safety of children and all our users. It's actually kind of funny to think how the two major projects in this scene and kids media horror subgenre with major website platforms, Welcome Home and Giggleland, both have guest books that have been shut down in the updates. What the hell have you people been submitting? This is where our new active adventure begins, though, so don't cry over the loss of the guest book. In the upper left, the visitor's number has been replaced with a code, and thanks to the intrepid heroes of the official Giggleland Discord and the ARG investigation record keepers, we know what it means, where it leads, and everything else discovered in this act. As with Act 1, massive thanks and applause to the members of the Giggleland Discord and those maintaining the KMW logs. You can credit users Misery 2028, Contour, and B-Spoon with the work related to this. It's a link for a password-protected pastebin, and a hint to use pastebin was within the guestbook announcement. Now, there were other pages accessible via the Giggleland site last time, some of them hidden. Any updates there? Yes, on the old star.html page, we now have a segment titled Dialogue. Liam was crying again this morning. Why? What happened? He kept saying he didn't want to be fed to a tree. Fed to a tree? Where'd he get that idea? Said something about blank, him, blank. Didn't really understand what he meant, but it sounded pretty strange. For real? I'll blank. Hell, the last thing I need is kids getting scared of trees now. Notice the conversation starts with a topic we've already visited here in Act 1, crying children. Liam is a new name, and as for the context of the discussion, we're just as clueless. Are these parents? Teachers? A parent to someone else? Fed to a tree is an odd idea. The only concept we can immediately relate that to is the scene at the end of episode 3 of Eliot and Ella with the bullies buried in the garden. That's becoming food for trees in a way, isn't it? Did Liam end up seeing this on TV in the same hijacking event from 2010? User Voidwalkers investigated the source for this page, discovering inconsistencies in the arrangement of capitalized letters, which led to 5 of them being singled out: A, B, C, R, and Y. This relates to the idea discussed on the page, the term crybaby, proposed by user Tellyelly, which reminds us of the content of hidden pages here in Act 1, that concept of leaving children to cry it out, even as infants. User Please Toot for Fruit, yes, I know, was the first to run crybaby to the pastebin as a password, unlocking it and revealing 2 new words: Fun Brew. Nothing immediately jumped out as a logical place to use that, so website discussion continued, and good thing. The old fun page with an ocean of Eliots and hypnotic music now contained a quick flash of a mini QR code, a combined catching effort by Lucas DeWeb95, Aubrey, and LifeMonk. LeafMonk? I doubt it's LifMonk. Let me know, Monk. User NMK4960 completed the catch with translating it. The word lifeless. As a point along the way, are you all seeing how much a dedicated community gets things done in an ARG? The reality of these efforts is that any single one of us could be there from the first second of a game's rollout or a new chapter drop, and there's just no making progress on your own anywhere near as fast or easily as the group effort. And you're going to see the major evidence of that in a bit, believe me. Giggleland's theme park visitors en masse get the job done. ARGs are truly team efforts historically, and the devs are very aware of this. It just couldn't be done without the Discord, honestly. Now, the old bug report page. That was updated in the source code, holding a Windows system error report containing a hex code. User Fanti made this discovery, and Super Pebbles delivered the translation. It wears my skin. Oh, try keeping that in mind. It is going to come back. And that's actually it for the Giggleland website. The next step came from a real surprise. A trick so nice, they did it twice. There seem to be multiple sources pointing to discovery on this one, and no surprise, because yet again, a YouTube ad played to the kind of viewers Giggleland is for, inviting them to funkidsgamezone.com, featuring Eliot's adventure. It's an awesome addition to the ARG, a mock-up of one of those classic browser game sites from the 2000s which closed up shop in 2010. Every single link leads to the announcement page declaring the end of this safe gaming environment for children except, of course, Eliot's Adventure. And you can play it. Yeah, the Giggleland team literally gave us a game before giving us a game. How dedicated is that? I gave it a shot while streaming NM Live to investigate Act 2, and it's a really simple game that includes a fake Adobe Flash permission box, which is a touch I love. Shout out to Giggleland Discord members who joined the stream for the fun. The rest of the footage with the wide view and better definition is from other nights gathering footage with an edition of the game you'll learn about soon. In Eliot's Adventure, you're Eliot, raised in this happy little animal people village, which is being menaced by an evil wizard keeping a bunch of their children locked up in their schoolhouse. Your job is simple. Go kick his ass with your superior top cat top hat magic. Free the other kids who will be so impressed at how amazing you are, and do some fetch quests along the way, because this is a video game. So fish gotta swim, birds gotta fly, you gotta do fetch quests. As Eliot, you liberate items for your elders by slashing animals in the wild, from bears to squirrels who were just minding their own business. Their blood orbs power your magic recovery potion, which you'll need because you do take damage. Return the lost items to your elders and enjoy their praise, then venture further, discovering a lookalike village that's in much worse shape and features humans who are miserable and really just want you gone, including one you can't talk to. Their fetch quests are much less child-friendly and seem more like laying feeble wishes on a magical child crossed with an attempt just to send you away. But you're Eliot KMW Giggleland Samson I, so you slay your way through 2 areas of ruins, collect the items, return them, and then proceed to the ending. Seems we missed some things, didn't we? Like the entire ending stage. This is the totality of Eliot's adventure in this form, until you get exploring. Let's examine things a bit slower, starting with the animal village. Tommy the Mole is upset because his boys can't learn while the sorcerer has the school shut down, and he'll believe Eliot has what it takes to fight him if he can retrieve some shovels from the sorcerer's minions. Jackson the sheep saw the sorcerer's freaks in the woods, dropped his groceries, and ran. If Eliot's going out to save the day, can he get back 3 lemons Jackson dropped? Carrie the wolf is the one who lets you know directly the school's been shut down by the sorcerer and the kids are all stuck inside. He's also stolen their supplies. In this case, 4 watering cans. And can we get them back? Yes, of course. Mabel the horse, the most senior of the villagers, says she would have clapped that sorcerer back in the day, the way she smacked misbehaving children upside the head. Yes, you heard and read that correctly. But she's losing the plot a touch. There's a villain to defeat, she says, and if Eliot wouldn't mind helping an old lady out, she could use 5 cloth pieces to send supplies to the children. Once you bring these items back, you learn a bit more, not just in direct acknowledgement dialogue, but optional follow-up text. Mabel is glad to receive the materials you've got and says to stop talking with her and defeat that sorcerer. Immediately after, if you strike up more conversation, she slips. So, have you killed the sorcerer yet? No? Well, I suppose it ain't an easy task. Back in my day, I couldn't do it the first time either. Yes, I was afraid, but I knew what had to be done, and you do too. What does that even mean? I couldn't do it the first time either, but I knew what had to be done. Is this some metaphorical rite of passage? And being so direct at last, cutting through the child-friendly cartoon language everyone knows so well of defeat, conquer, beat, to just say it on the face. Kill. Such a direct natural slip and admission of what may truly be going on here. Carrie the wolf is glad to receive the watering cans and reminisces on how when Eliot was in her class, he wouldn't say a word to anyone. He's grown a lot, and he's reliable now. Go for the optional dialogue, and Carrie hopes the school will reopen soon. Those kids need something to take their mind off of things right now. Maybe when things calm down, we can do an art festival. The kids need to channel those feelings into something positive, don't you think? I should try to get that approved. Nothing too shocking here, but there is the reminder that Kids Media Workshop operates in this manner, doing a lot of art therapy. Jackson sure is happy about the lemon rescue. It was awkward explaining what happened to his girlfriend. He can't let anyone know a kid like Eliot wasn't scared, or he'll never hear the end of it. He's supposed to protect those closest to him, and can't even protect his own food. Tommy thinks his boys could learn from Eliot on being helpful to others. Follow-up conversation concerns making repairs and rebuilding, that you need a strong foundation for any building. And if the foundation is unstable, then you gotta tear it down and start again. That's how I'm teaching my boys to become men. It's all about controlling your power, you see. The overall impression is that this village represents the people of the commune and the lessons they're trying to teach, as well as their personalities. It's unknown what the sorcerer represents, but ideas of foundation restructure seem a pretty perfect parallel to psychological reconditioning for children in KMW school. What do we have on the other side, in the deep woods? 5 distinctly human characters, one of which you can't talk to, nervous and isolated, unhappy to deal with strangers. And the only character in distinctly different appearance is Laura, a name you'll remember from the report of a missing girl in 1990 on the KMW website. Suppose this village, with its appearance being so similar to the previous, is another more direct parallel to the commune, and we're witnessing a moment in time framed around that same missing girl, later known as Debbie, Sarah's mother. Post-quest conversation with any of them isn't so enlightening. If you want to know more of what the game has to offer, you need to be relentless in your quest to collect 2 items that have rare drop rates. A blanket in the gentler forest area, and a flower in the jungle area, from a 2-headed blue snake that'll spawn first from a regular enemy's death. Now, I was able to get the blue flower and its info from my own playthrough work, so I've got that footage. You can learn about it if you run back to the first village and talk to Mabel. She's happy you found it. She used to be able to grow those in her garden, but old age has made that difficult. It's a flower with a lot of beautiful properties, and she'll gladly take it off your hands. See, this flower is very special. This flower heals injuries on the inside and outside of a person. It's also really helpful for the youngins. They're the ones who need it the most. They hurt themselves too easily and may not always think clearly, so someone or something has to keep them in line. It's been discovered within the game files that this is specifically a datura flower. Look that up and you'll find it under a few names: thorn apples, Jimson weed, devil's trumpets, mad apple, moonflowers. All names for something extremely poisonous and psychoactive, able to cause respiratory depression, arrhythmia, fever, delirium, hallucinations, psychosis, and of course, death. There is a history of its use within indigenous groups under carefully administered application for spiritual practice, and in ancient Mexico, it was utilized by the Aztec people for medicine. The ancient Aztec people? That explains the way everything looks here with the ruins. The side effects of a bad dose also explain the ending you'll get if you bring this to Mabel. Eliot will come across a child who emerges from the brush, crying, "It hurts! Please help me! I can't breathe! I need help! Do something, please! Help me, please! Help me!" Notice, also, the child looks just like the people in the village among the ruins. Are these all children? And is this Laura at a much older age than she was when entering the commune? She looks taller, stands out in her outfit too. If this is a child appearing related to the datura flower ending, and Mabel says they've used this on the children at the commune, then we only need the effects of datura poisoning to lock in what's happened. They're from the commune and experiencing respiratory depression, which means all these children may be from the commune, either as a genuine reflection of what life is like there, or on the run and suffering in the attempt to make it anywhere safe. That would absolutely explain their demeanor on approach, especially if you're doing it as Eliot, a product of KMW. The idea of communes using questionable plant medicine isn't new, but if KMW did in fact use hallucinogenic plants on children in their program, as indicated through the metaphor of Eliot's adventure, that's shocking and horrific new information for us. There's going to be more to the flower, but let's take a moment to talk about the children from the commune here. If you manage the other rare drop in the game, a blue blanket in the forest area, you can initiate 2 new conversations, starting with Carrie the Wolf. I sincerely wish I had this footage. I tried to get it multiple nights, but the blanket is such a rare drop that you'll be grinding for a long time trying to make it appear unless you get very lucky. Major thanks to the players who recorded their experience with retrieving and using the blanket in the KMW investigation logs. If you talk to Carrie after getting the blanket, she'll say the following: "Oh, I thought that looked familiar. No, it's not mine. I know who it belongs to, but I don't think she's here anymore. Well, you can just hold on to it. I'm sure she'll come back any time now." You can tell exactly who she is if you proceed to the second area, because you'll then be able to talk to the child you couldn't previously. Ellen is her name, and I'll let myself from a livestream trying for the blanket take over from here about what she says while referencing the KMW logs. That blankie you have. It looks like the one I lost. May I have it back, please? Really? Oh, thank you. My family made me this blankie. It's really special. It's really soft, right? And it's my favorite color. It's the one thing I have from home. I was really lonely without it. Why can't I go back home? Oh, I'm being told I can't go home. I don't know why. They said I had to leave, but I want to go back home. Excuse me, why is everyone being so mean to you? Did you do something bad? You don't seem like a bad person. You're not like the others around here. Oh, I didn't mean that meanly. I'm glad you're not like the others. I like your clothes and you seem really nice. Do you live around here? Is it nice where you live? It was really nice where I live, but now I can't go back. I don't know why. Everyone was so nice there and they made me my favorite blankie. You remind me of a character from a story they told me. About a boy who grew up to be brave and strong. Can I grow up to be brave and strong like him too? Maybe if I do, I can go back home. This dialogue, combined with Carrie's dialogue and another element attached to the blanket ending, locks in what this scene really is. A group of children who have left the commune. Eliot is a reminder of a story told there. Eliot is a KMW character. Ellen has this one blanket from home, and Carrie said the girl who owned this is no longer there. Her home, which she has left, is the commune. She has been told she can't go home. They said she had to leave. They must be the other children here, and if kids are literally dying from treatments by KMW, it's easy to understand why they left. Once you complete this talk, you'll receive a download, an image of Renee Spitz, who was, like Eric Erickson in Act 1, a psychoanalyst specializing in infant psychology. He focused on 3 organizing principles in the psychology of child development: the smiling response, even in the presence of strangers, the point at which anxiety enters the child's mind in the presence of strangers, and semantic communication, in which children learn to be obstinate, related to obsessive-compulsive behavior. We have a situation in this scene regarding the children running from the commune reacting with anxiety towards a stranger, Eliot, who ironically isn't a stranger in this situation, right? Interesting choice of topic to bring up here, unless you consider Eliot as the child meeting strangers. Now, I wish I had the image of this precisely, but if the game is then beaten on the blanket run, a text box appears over a black screen with a load of numbers. It's Polybius encryption, discovery made by user bspoon. Translating it with a Polybius square cipher reveals the following. You have to get out of here. They're going to do something to her. If he takes her, we'll never see her again. You two need to leave quickly. Pack your things and head out with K, C, and M. They'll be waiting for you near the back of the barn at 1 a.m. I wish I could protect you, but they will. T keeps watching me. He senses my fear. If I go, he'll follow. I'll keep him distracted for however long it takes. Raise her to have a normal life. I promise we'll both be a family again. I don't know when, but we will. I love you. Wow, this is major. With everything we know so far of the KMW story involving Debbie and Sarah, it feels like a message from Simon, Sarah's father, warning her to run from the commune with their child. T keeps watching them, huh? Would that be Terry, the founder of KMW, aka Dr. Val Terry, aka the Terry of Terry's Vegetable Patch? A promise to be a family again someday. This is compelling evidence for the idea that all of this Giggleland media is an attempt by Simon to locate Debbie and Sarah, not for KMW, but for himself. And hey, turns out there's an ending if you get the blanket and the flower, discovered by user I Love Hot Moms. Nice. You'll end up in a You'll end up in a stage called The Farm, with a large barn in the background. It must be the barn reference in Simon's goodbye message, because there's only one character here, Mr. T. The KMW investigation logs indicate he says, "Hello there, Eliot. Nice to see you again. You've been helping a lot of people, haven't you? What a kind boy you are, Eliot. I wish people were as kind and helpful as you. You've helped me so much over these years. Why, you even got me all the supplies needed to restore our garden. But alas, our work is not done. Some seeds need to be planted, and we must ensure they grow properly. Could you bring me those seeds, Eliot? We must purify them from the evil sorcerer. Anyone else thinking of Eliot helping Ella weed the garden in episode 3? A lot of symbolism going on here with cultivating. As for the evil sorcerer, I suspect now it's not an individual, but the idea of society outside the commune in general. Mr. T is absolutely the head of this cult. It's just unmistakable at this point. He's labeled as such in the KMW media, and a note that has got to be from Simon to Debbie just before escaping with Sarah as a baby. So, what was the next move from here? That took a little examination of the game site again, but it eventually turned up a lead that required a double take from how official it seemed. CL Domains, cited as the web host for Fun Kids Game Zone, a discovery credited to user Vicious. This site listed several recently registered domains, 10 of them, and players understood this was their direction to go when one domain, a web preservation project archive of game tips, included hints about playing the dev build of Eliot's adventure. It even contained comments from users discussing hidden endings and the tips related to using the developer console with 2 special commands, God Mode and Move Player. So now, of course, the hunt was on for the dev build, because there's no alluding to something like this and not handing us a dev build. Where was it located, though? Players went to work on the other websites registered with CL Domains. Dev Summit 2025, which may be filler or waiting for use later. Global Street Bites, which indicates a few different food spots in the US, but gives this page when you click to get directions for any of them. Human.html, with stacks of the phrase human inside and a nesting doll. You can interact and open it up, revealing its 3 dolls. As for the meaning of human inside, I'm not about to jump on any idea that the food at these locations are made of human. Please don't raise that theory. I really doubt it. We do have those mascot suits of Eliot. Is this related? We may need this site later too. Retro Byte Hub is under construction. No telling what it's about. File under Check in Act 3. Oak Barrel Brew is cool. It's a brewery site, but when you look under Visit Our Tap Room, you can scroll through a secret message. I've been reviewing the hospital archives for months now. The old films from the orphanage ward from the 50s. No one questions why. They assume it's for my research on developmental psychology. They don't know I'm looking for something specific. Renee Spitz documented it perfectly in 1952. Infants deprived of their mothers during the first year of life for more than 5 months deteriorate progressively. Their face becomes vacuous. Their activity is restricted to atypical, bizarre finger movements. They are unable to sit, stand, walk, or talk. Those finger movements aren't random. They're communicating the same message across decades, across continents, from every abandoned child. This is deeply unexpected and yet related. Renee Spitz is the psychoanalyst whose image was given during the blanket quest. Whoever wrote this was looking for old films from an orphanage in the 50s. Whatever for? KMW can't have been operating that long. Or did it? Going through the other sites, Yoga and Park Events has been pwned by the W4OMP crew. At the moment, all this can give us is some humor. NetWave Status is a diagnostic site for something that's experiencing a major system outage. Street Spice Truck is for a food truck operating in East Shore, New York. Nothing jumps out as useful. Gardening with Mary is not about planting flowers with Lucius Merriweather. Let me cut you off in the comments right now.
Excuse me, Nick. I wouldn't have people planting flowers. My garden has anomalous trees that grow doors to different stories. They need trimming.
Anyway, this site has an interactive map, and the location pinned is definitely not a garden or gardening shop. It's Iowa Soldiers' Orphans' Homes, with a message on the shot of it from the visit page, "You're a monster." This has got to be the place referenced in Oak Barrel Brew's message, right? Look at Wikipedia real quick for the history on this place, and you'll find it's very old, established to take in orphans from the Civil War. It continued as an orphanage for decades until the 1950s, the time of the Oak Barrel Brew message, when it became the Annie Wittenmeyer Home, a residential special education and behavioral counseling facility for children. Once again, we see focus on child psychology in the story. Now, you're not gonna believe this next one. Laughing Little Ones was discovered through a YouTube Shorts ad dedicated to the biggest party ever. Only you are invited. Just you. Fill in your name, your age, and who you want to invite, and a bunch of error messages, and the shock of Sarah's location granted in code. Yeah, our Sarah. The one who didn't get her special birthday party, according to Eliot in the audio clip from Act 1.
Happy birthday to our dear We really wanted to celebrate your special day with you. It's a shame your mother took you away before the party started.
And if you think this Sarah location capture is bad, check out what's hiding in our final site from CL Domain. Out of all the links on the page, only one seems to work. The cafe's Tumblr, going to sarah.html. Slowly, quotes from Sarah's Tumblr blog appear against a black screen, describing her second trip to the basement. And yes, she's seen it. Right after her first trip back to the basement and waking up to find her mother staring at her. April 1st, Sarah posted the link, asking, "Who made this? This isn't funny. What the fuck do I do? Who did this?" Now, we're going to return to Sarah in a moment, but let's finish up the website side of the ARG. Investigations of the old missing report page on the Giggleland site revealed an update to the PDF. It still contained an audio file, but now significantly larger, and once again password protected. Bravo to user Chap for that discovery. So, password. Players had to examine the clues they'd gathered that hadn't rewarded them yet, and realized Fun Brew from the paste bin related to the Fun page from Giggleland's site, and Oak Barrel Brew. Both of those pages had special focus on words, the Fun page's QR code giving us lifeless, and Oak Barrel Brew's message providing us with the disturbed animated word, finger. User Sensitive is credited with unlocking it via that combo of words. The WAV file wasn't the end of it though, since it was encoded audio. Leafmonk and K413B headed up the study, discovering it was a file named Conversation, resulting in a pattern and could be converted using a special decoder mimicking a modem receiver. Do you see how varied you need your ARG community to be when it's a puzzle-heavy game? A modem receiver, of all things, and someone figured that out. The end result is text. A chat log online between two women, Jen and Mandy. Hey, quick question. Did Kayla mention anything weird she watched on Sunny Bee Kids yesterday? No. What happened? I don't know. She started freaking out and crying about some creepy orange cat that killed his friends or something. Mike checked the TV guide and it wasn't even listed. Super weird. That's really weird. Are you sure it was Sunny Bee? Maybe she imagined it or something. I don't know. Gave me creepy vibes. Kinda reminds me of that Channel 10 hacking thing that was all over the news a while back. You remember seeing that? Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Wasn't it on Verge Report or something? Saw an article about it recently. Yeah, I think so. Do you still have the link? Let me check. Here you go. Mandy pastes the link in question. Is this the one you meant? Yeah, oh my god, exactly. Reading this right now and legit chills, what the fuck? Dude, stop. I'm home alone right now. Let's talk about this tomorrow when it's not dark, please. Lol, sorry, yeah, okay, good idea. Talk tomorrow. A hijacking incident. We've experienced that with the episode of Eliot and Ella referenced here, and it was in 2010. Check that link and the article is illegible. The comments from April 15, 2010 are visible though. It confirms the violence of this episode of Eliot and Ella, parental outrage, and a bit of insight from Nike 2003-302. I work in broadcasting, not at Channel 10, and this is impossible unless it was an inside job or their security is a complete joke. You can't just hack a broadcast signal like in the movies. Someone had physical access to their systems or gave out passwords. They're not telling the whole story. One other aspect of the page is of interest, an ad link for uploadfiles.cc. And here, user Dwarf Taco became a hero because uploadfiles.cc contained the dev build for Eliot's adventure, and finding out the full title for that file involved unlocking the hitless ending on Fun Kids Game Zone. So not only did they secure a very difficult ending, they got what was needed to progress to the full edition. Awesome work. We'll visit that ending sequence in a bit, don't worry. So the upload.cc link with the dev build of Eliot's adventure had a timer for 1 week to upload and a note attached, saying it would be password protected. A location with numbers. Special conditions activated from the Giggleland devs in the meta view. Get the numbers before the waiting period, and it would immediately complete the upload. It was assumed that Sarah location had to be the solution, but the assortment of letters needed to be decoded into numbers. User Chap realized they matched the first letters of the new website names, and here is where it gets very unbelievable. Every website contained a number or pair of numbers somewhere that was significant to put into the code. The devs were watching guesses to see the hits, thankfully, so it didn't seem an overly massive chore to guess things right in total sequencing all the way across. The significant number pickup methods weren't the same on each site either. They were as different as shapes in a background and the word tree misspelled as 3. That had to be one of the most frustrating scavenger hunts I've ever read about. Seriously, props to everyone who pulled together for that one. The discovery immediately made the dev build available, the password to its zip file being the numbers combination. And now, with Eliot's adventure dev build unlocked, we go back to Sarah. She's a little frantic. She wants to go back to the basement, but things may get worse, and that page is freaking her out. She can't tell her mom about the Tumblr, or the VHS she's seen in the basement, or ask about Simon and Kids Media Workshop. Later that day, an urgent development. Debbie informs her she wants to do a big spring cleaning, including the basement, to convert it into a den, and she'll be doing the basement cleanup herself. Yeah, Debbie's got a hunch, and I'm willing to bet that the flash that wasn't from a bulb in the basement was from a motion sensor that Debbie set up to catch her daughter. Now she's too shaken up to let her go back. She's going to throw away everything. Sarah is angry with herself for not acting sooner, because she knows she can't salvage everything down there that may provide answers. Tonight, she needs to look. Players send messages to help, assuring her she can do this and work around getting sick. What follows over several posts over the next 2 days is Sarah's documentation of diaries her mother wrote found in the basement. Her method is taking photos of the pages. As she catches some of what's been written, Sarah is appalled at how much her mother's hid from her. She finishes the job as soon as possible, but once back in bed, remembers paper scraps she came across and says, "There's just numbers on here. I don't know what they mean." Then, someone just opened the basement door. That final message came on April 3rd. We have not heard from Sarah since, and we know from the invitation site that someone does, in fact, have Sarah's location. Did Simon find her, as he promised in the message from Eliot's adventure around 2010, or did KMW? There was nowhere left to investigate now except the dev build. Here, situations regarding items and conditions led to different outcomes. The first logical thing to do is enable God mode, blast through the game, and see what happens. Simply put, the normal ending stays kinda normal. The end message asking what Eliot's done to the sorcerer is now just replaced with, "You are a god." There are points of intrigue in the game that entice us to explore with the dev commands. One thing I immediately tried is using the move player command to get to this area, where it looks like we could keep going right. I found the coordinates to do it, but it only ever led to me falling through the map. There is no collision detection for those stairs. There's also this area, where you can fall down and land on a little platform, then hit the spiky rock to reset at the top. To the left, you see a deeper fall. If you choose to drop there with God mode enabled, you experience something unique. Yeah, they'll take you right out of the game to your desktop, and then you've got to try accessing it again, where it will tell you it's a memory violation and reward you with a bloodied Eliot if you persist. Which, serving as a warning, brings to mind how this is the best moment to give you a warning. The discoveries made about the story of Giggleland and its media from here are not for the faint of heart. This is horror, dealing with children, and the warning shots we received in Act 1 were warning shots. This project is not playing around, and this is the moment I'm giving you the heads up, since we're getting closer. If you try a regular death, you'll receive this same spotlight area, but Eliot remaining in his costume. The game will reset, nothing abnormal. What you really want now in dev build is going to be difficult. It's not terribly difficult to access, but, well, let me give you that portion first. You've got to collect the flower again, now on God mode. I was lucky enough in my playthroughs to do this twice, so I've got footage from the normal flower run and the dev build on God mode. And God mode changes the flower ending drastically. Do you remember the message in the updated bug report page, way back during the initial website exploration on sites from Act 1? It wears my skin. Eliot, in the flower ending on God mode, skins this child and wears its flesh as a new costume. Has he been driven insane by the Datura flower too? It's possible. This ending is similar to the cutscene that occurs if you achieve the hitless ending, made much more achievable with God mode. In the hitless scenario, Eliot is victim. In God mode's flower ending, he's aggressor. Both scenarios involve a flurry of claws. Now, in this setup, player has to run an extremely difficult task. Complete the game as normal, without seeing platforms, hazards, or enemies. And while playing the game myself, going for endings, collecting footage, on April 8th, right around 6:20 p.m. Eastern Time, user GameLoon1 pulled out the victory with a crowd watching on Discord. Thanks to Aurora for the consistent guidance on where to go for things in the Discord, and for this recording of the skin ending.
Everybody send him your energy.
Seriously.
I only have like 2% of my battery left.
It's good that it's a ranged enemy because you know where it is when it shoots at you, though. I mean,
I'm
it's
sending
shooting
you
you,
my
but still.
I'm giving you my psychic thoughts. Log in.
Whoa.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
What?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Did
Wait,
he achieve the skinding? Yelling.
Everybody
Everyone.
scream.
Skinding!
Alright, I'm just gonna deafen everyone for this.
Okay, everyone
Okay.
shut up, everyone shut
Hang
up.
on, everyone mute.
Nah. We can be deafened.
No, we need. Yeah, but I'm recording the audio.
Oh, you can't deafen.
Okay,
but-
everyone shut up.
Yeah, not only was there a full 3D ending taking place in that environment set up with the glitching Eliot from the upcoming Giggleland release approaching, involving the nature of him as an enemy from all the Act 1 teases, we got Episode 2 of Eliot and Ella unlocked right that moment, with a premiere timer set for the top of the hour. And the best part personally was getting to hop in and celebrate right alongside the chat from the Giggleland Discord who were first on scene. I already had OBS ready to record my playthroughs, so I switched it over to the video. And now, I can roll it for you the way it happened with a very celebratory crowd. Just be warned, this is the moment the Giggleland devs showed us exactly what they're willing to do for their experience, and they are not pulling punches. Want to see what really upset parents about episodes of Eliot and Ella hijacking their TV?
I wish we didn't have to go back to our groups tomorrow. I bet my group hates me.
Why would you say that? Did something happen?
Well, I couldn't dissect the frog. It was just too scary. Besides, they didn't even want me in their group to begin with. Our teacher just put me there because no one picked me.
Oh, don't look at it like that, Eliot. I know they'd want to be friends with someone like you.
You're right. I wish I could be like you, Ella. I'm quiet and shy, and I can't do anything you can do.
Don't say that, Eliot. You can do lots of things.
Well, I want to be brave. How can I be brave like you, Ella?
Oh, how about we visit Mr. T?
But school's over. What if he already left?
Well, there's only one way to find out. Come on! Well, go on. Come on, say it.
Hi, Mr. T. Sorry for coming by so late, but I wanted to ask you something. Well, I'm not really confident in myself. I'm not brave enough to try new things. I get too scared and I don't think people in my class like me. You did?
To learn to be brave.
One must learn the importance of hardship. Bravery can only be achieved by sacrificing your former self and being born anew. Look how weak you are. You are pathetic, worthless. If you do not take action, you will never become the brave hero you wish to be.
Are you saying I need to...
Come on, Eliot! Don't you want to be brave?
Yeah, but not like this. I can't...
Do you want to be worthless? Do you need me to stand up for you every time you cry? Do something on your own for once!
Sacrifice what will kill you!
Whoa, you did it, Eliot!
When we challenge creators to roll up their sleeves and show us what they're made of, and they do it, they get a standing ovation. Bravo, Giggleland team! Most people simply wouldn't have the guts, but you went there, and in the most magnificent rollout for it that deeply rewarded your players. Where do we begin to praise this episode of Eliot and Ella? The sudden shock of 3D? The glitching tease that didn't censor things and let us witness the violence? The moments that show us Ella may not actually be real? Or that Eliot is consistently hallucinating? Those bullies walked away from him like there was no big deal, and it was in a brand new scene dissecting a frog. And no, don't worry, I'm not about to gloss over what I just said. Ella may not actually be real. In fact, if we go on the clues of her absence in this episode and watch the full thing again and the previous episode, you cannot find contradictory evidence. Events unfold with other characters only recognizing and interacting with Eliot, and Ella acts almost like an invisible and inaudible guide the whole time, whether Eliot is facing his bullies in the garden or talking to Mr. T. The best evidence we have is the end of episode 2 with her voiceover while Eliot sits there with his inner child's skin face over his own. Ella isn't even present. We hear her as if she's a mental projection. This is also the episode titled Making Friends. It's the one Sarah found in the basement. Whatever version of it existed at the time Debbie got it, this is the content, and it's what left Sarah too traumatized to speak to us. I'd also like to bring up a new idea for viewing the glitches in conjunction with what we're observing and how KMW operates, with shots of programming language as Eliot snaps may be talking to us about a different sort of programming. KMW is all about child psychology and their way of directing behavior. They're programming the children in their care. The language we see may be a very clever way to present this concept in relation to how Eliot and KMW's children were raised, and the way the game is going to function. Everything involving coding behaviors may ultimately be pointing at the narrative and its themes. I'm going to log this in ahead of time. Ella may not truly be present within the reality of Eliot's life, and I'm going to lean on the side that she isn't. We've just been given a glimpse of how KMW operates, and their behavioral modification may involve intense hallucinogenic episodes using flowers. Since the idea of skinning your inner child is presented through the flower root in God mode, and the pit sequence is a memory access violation with Eliot wearing similar clothes. The uncensored depictions of Eliot and Ella episodes are all like this, explaining the greater extent of horror felt by parents during the TV hijacking. And, now that we've seen this is how far KMW media is willing to go, it recontextualizes the entire picture. At the end of our Act 1 study, I had a hang-up about the idea that KMW is actually making the Giggleland game, because how could they get behind something with such a presentation of horror and adult taboo mixed with children's therapeutic media? Now we know that this isn't an issue for them at all. If it's going to be violent and horrific, they'll let it be. There's a genuine acceptance going on here for KMW, and if they need to hijack TV channels to show their work, it's extremely telling that they're legitimate, but they have no access to the outside world the way they wish they did. There's an understanding that society outside the commune will not accept their viewpoints if this is what they have to resort to, and it's the authentic product. Giggleland as an in-universe game can, in fact, be entirely legitimate design by KMW. But as mentioned earlier, there seems to be some kind of schism in the rollout of this media in relation to Sarah and elements of the game. Josh is gone. We can't contact someone who could have helped us learn things. The media we've been seeing is declared the work of a leaker. Circulation of unauthorized materials, it said. From the official Giggleland site side of the game, there's almost an attempt to throw us a dead end. Everything we've gained this round comes from the leaker. Want to know how we can verify this? The new Trailhead, Fun Kids Game Zone, may have been an ad, but it came from the same channel that gave us Eliot and Ella episode 2 and 3. Whoever is running this channel is orchestrating the side of the game dedicated to teaching us more, while the new Giggleland site is attempting to distance itself from things that educate us. You may notice here there's a video we haven't watched, Perfect Little Apples. It's a reading of the book Sarah mentioned her mother made before she got into the basement. You'll recognize the voice in it now, too.
A book reading of Perfect Little Apples. See the lovely apple tree, full of fruit for you and me. When they're ready, apples fall, good to eat for one and all. If the fruit is bruised or bad, then the farmer's really mad. Chop it up and feed the roots, rotten fruit becomes the shoots. See the lovely apple tree, full of life for you and me.
Between Eliot and Ella, the Mr. T ending of Eliot's adventure, and Perfect Little Apples, there's a lot going on here regarding planting and cultivation. Children, too, are seen as little seeds that require nurturing to grow into a healthy state. And if you're a bad apple, well, what's going to happen to you? Get chopped up, tossed in the ground, food for the roots of the next load of trees, and... oh, now we understand the Giggleland site's Liam conversation. Look back. Liam was crying again this morning. Why? What happened? He kept saying he didn't want to be fed to a tree. Fed to a tree? Where'd he get that idea? Now we know exactly where he got that idea. Debbie Sampson's book, Perfect Little Apples. That is such a clever touch. And of course we saw this idea of chopping up bad apples and planting them in a garden for good roots in Eliot and Ella episode 3. And how long is this video right now? Okay, wow, this act kicks so much ass. We're not even done yet, and it's been well over an hour. Okay. It's been a major increase in quality, dedication, complexity, story expansion, and enjoyment factor all throughout, but really, look how powerfully the Giggleland team stepped up to the plate and said, hold my blood potion all the way up to here. You want to see how much more dedicated they get? Because we're not done with Sarah's side of things. In the dev build for Eliot's adventure, we have God Mode and Move Player for commands. You may have noticed I said nothing yet about trying Move Player. That's because this part is best saved for after that episode unlock. If you try Move Player and use the numbers for the dev build password, aka Sarah's location, you end up in a black void. Trying to go to 00 from here will put you in a spot under a single square from a tree. Huh. Again with the idea of ending up in the ground for the trees. There's no interactivity here that anyone's discovered, just this single square. If you go to Sarah's location though, and run around a bit tapping E, you get this. A bit.ly link for Sarah's phone. Which means that the basement door opened and we haven't heard from Sarah because whoever's running this actually did get her location, and they definitely took her. We may not see another update from Sarah, but the link is to a Google Drive dump of the phone, including 71 photos of Debbie's diaries, dating from December 1st, 1990 to May 13th, 2006. So now here's the part where I go through 71 pages of diary and do my best to give you the prime cuts in depth while effectively summarizing the rest. Do you understand why this video took a little time to come out after Act 2? I hit the cafe, came home with a coffee and a meal, and read every word. I savored the diary drop like a new book. Page 1 is just some sketches with the name Debbie, a depiction of Bambi, and a pair of animals that bring to mind Eliot and Ella. Page 2, the actual writing begins. Hi, diary. My name is Debbie and I'm 8 years old. My Uncle Terry gave me this diary so I can write about my feelings, and he says, turn them into something positive. He said it can be a good way to express myself when I feel sad or happy or any feeling. I live with my Uncle Terry and his friends in a barn. Well, there are houses around the barn, but I like going to the barn the most because there are animals there. We have cows, chickens, pigs, horses, and sheep. Sometimes we even see stray cats and dogs around the barn, but Uncle Terry says we can't keep them because they may be sick and infect the barn animals with rabies. I wish we could pet the dogs and cats we find. They are so cute. I like my new home. There are a lot of kids I get to play with, and Uncle Terry always invites new kids to stay and play with us. He really likes making sure we're all happy. I like school a lot more too. We don't get homework. We get to read and work on projects together and draw, and it's lots of fun. Sometimes we even get to help take care of the barn animals, but P.U. do they stink. Uncle Terry says I'm a good kid. He says he'll do everything he can to make me happy and make sure I have lots of fun. I like when he teaches me to draw. I hope I can be as good as him someday. I have to go help make dinner now. Bye, diary. This is immediately confirming a lot. Mr. T is definitely Terry, short for Dr. Val Terry, Laura's therapist before the social worker took over. He's got to be the one who abducted her, the adult set of footprints. Mention of the barn immediately brings to mind the barn and the farm level of Elliot's adventure, where Mr. T was waiting. And if you're not convinced yet that Laura is Debbie, this next entry has something to say to you dozens of times. My name is Debbie. My name is Debbie. My name is Debbie. Over and over as rote memorization. Because now, her name is Debbie. And Mr. T has shown us this practice of children renaming and forsaking their former selves elsewhere. Sacrificing the former self, being born anew. There is no Laura now, only Debbie. And we don't know what explicitly was involved, but do you want to guess that it was as traumatic as what Eliot went through? Because I'm sure it must have been. Speaking of Eliot's trauma, Diary Entry 2 opens with Debbie saying, I like this school a lot better than the one I went to. At my old school, a lot of kids bullied me for being different. They made fun of my art and the teachers would make me sit through boring meetings with bad people. Boring meetings with bad people. What made them bad people? Immediately, we might suspect that's a viewpoint Dr. Terry impressed on her. Debbie describes making new friends. Jessica, Abby, Eve, and Mary. The teachers are nice, teaching things like positive reinforcement and grounding exercises. There are no bullies, and they get to draw with Uncle Terry and his cool friends. Someone new joins the class. Simon, who Debbie thinks is really cute and really shy. They play tag with Chris, Mark, and Donnie, and then Debbie gives us animal interpretations of them all. Take a look at what she chose for herself and Simon, her future husband. There's your Eliot and Ella molds. December 7th, 1990. We learn Uncle Terry is making a TV show, and Debbie gets to draw for it. In fact, everyone will help. It's a cartoon, and Debbie will be in Group B, handling animation. Simon is Group A, handling writing. He can draw too, but doesn't believe in his ability. Uncle Terry will be making the main character, a farmer with a similar name. Yes, Farmer Terry of Terry's Vegetable Patch. about a man who moved from the big city after inheriting a farm. What's the background on that, Dr. Valteri? Was it a big city with a big old historical orphanage that changed its focus in the 50s? This is where Rory the Rabbit comes in, who appears as Tully's blush for Giggleland. We're also shown Shay the Sheep, though we haven't seen this character outside the diary. Debbie mentions Terry instructed her in writing about sad things in her sketchbook to help her creative process and use the darkness to make something light. Uncle Terry said I felt like a black sheep, alone from the herd. I guess I did feel like that a lot before we moved here. He helped me come up with a design and told me he thinks Shay could be a good character for others who felt like me. Uncle Terry says the cartoon will show how Shay learns to like himself, and I think that's really cool. Next, Debbie writes about the difficulty of working in animation. All the animators in the audience, a quick salute to Debbie, who understands your pain. She's allowed to switch to Group C, focusing on character design and backgrounds. All character designers and background painters in the audience, a quick salute to Debbie, who understands your pain. December 14th, we learned the teachers had to cancel a celebration party for finishing the cartoon, because some kids are sick and it wouldn't be right without them. Abby, one of Debbie's friends, is one of the ill. School will be on pause to prevent spread, and the adults will take a few days cleaning. Class resumes 3 days later, scaled down to keep teachers from being overwhelmed. Debbie's friend Jessica is now in Group D, voice actors. Adults are worried the sickness will spread. With the situation regarding isolated children and a threat to the commune, it's easy to consider if this is what the sorcerer was actually about in Eliot's adventure. December 19th, the healthy kids who worked on the cartoon are going on a special trip to the fair, where they'll put on a play based on their work. Terry does mention the kids can't go outside without adults because it could be dangerous and something really bad could happen. Yeah, like someone spotting a missing child and making a call. Simon is back in the scene, writing for the play and working with Terry to direct. Jessica teases Debbie about having a crush on him. Dress rehearsal comes, and we learn not only are the kids acting wearing costumes that have masks, all the kids will be wearing masks. That's easy to understand in our perspective. Debbie describes how hot her costume is, that she had to keep drinking water and eating a lot of fruit. Between the animation workflow and this, these children are going through a lot of creative labor. The play is about Farmer Terry learning how to be a good farmer with the help of the animals. It's ultimately a show about making new friends and the joy of working together on a goal. Uncle Terry, however, is not playing his own role. Another teacher is. Considering the multiple abductions, easy to understand. The fair turns out awesome. Debbie played Rory, her own character, and Simon stayed doing stagehand work with Terry. Upon completion of the play, teachers who attended the fair with the group went to speak with families and children who watched. The KMW children were all ushered out without being allowed to talk to other kids, and were told it's because they might get sick and couldn't go on rides in their costumes. Terry got strict about it, explaining it through, and the children relented. He always knows what to do, even if we don't like it. At this point, whatever's gone on with Debbie to instill this new life appears to be working. There's no mention of her mother, no mourning a home or life she's left. Uncle Terry is family, the farm is home, and her life is great. If emotionally anything is going contrary to the indoctrination efforts, we're not seeing it in writing. It's the holiday season, and not even that exists for her. December 28th, Uncle Terry informs the class that a lot of kids are going to be moving into the barn, so classes had to be canceled while they showed other kids the ropes. Debbie recognized some of them from the fair. In our position of understanding, we immediately recognized that the play was an advertising effort for KMW, and it worked. Debbie and Simon were helpers showing kids around, including the grown-up stations for Terry's friends. Really creative. They have a lot of drawings taped on walls and sketchbooks everywhere. December 29th. Simon finally told me why he was worried yesterday. He told me he hasn't been sleeping well because he hears weird noises at night. He doesn't know what they are, but he says they sound like screams and loud bangs. Apparently the sounds gave him nightmares and he's been really scared to sleep. I helped Simon tell one of the teachers, who told us we should go talk to Uncle Terry about it. Simon seemed really scared to talk to Uncle Terry, but he wouldn't tell me why. He was really nervous, so I told him he could hold my hand when we walked if he needed to squeeze it. He was a bit nervous at first, but then he held my hand and squeezed it a lot. His face was really red when he did that. It was cute. We found Uncle Terry in the barn and I had to help Simon explain what he was afraid of. Uncle Terry was really nice about it, and he wasn't mad at us for talking with him about it. He told us that when there is a full moon, the animals can get really rowdy and make a lot more noise. We tried to ask why that was, and Uncle Terry says there are legends from long ago about the moon having strange powers over animals. He says that the moon was once seen as a great watcher over the animals, and that each phase can cause the animals to act in different ways. Uncle Terry told them not to worry and write about their feelings. Use that negative energy to make something positive. Debbie walked Simon back, who was grateful for Debbie's help. She planned to check on him later that day and draw together to make him feel better. The moon, huh? Animal lunacy? Control over the animals in its phases? I don't buy it, Terry. It's easy to see how Simon and Debbie ended up together, though. It was more than being cute or growing up in close proximity. Debbie really was Simon's safety. She was his Ella, no matter what's happening in the episodes we've seen regarding her presence or lack thereof. A new diary enters the picture, with Debbie's drawings well advanced, and a fun note in blue. Simon was here. They've certainly grown closer if that's happening. First entry is May 8th, 1997. It's over 6 years later, making Debbie 14, and Simon must be around the same age. Before we get into that, let's take a moment to sit down with the information presented in Diary 1 that's suspicious without explanation. Screams, bangs, all blamed on animal lunacy, and a whole group of sick kids whose illness isn't explained and reappearance isn't written about. The Flower Run in Eliot's adventure introduces the idea of herbal medicine within the commune related to datura, which is highly toxic, and we have a child at the end experiencing the respiratory depression noted as an effect. This was important for the developer to show us. It was very clear why this ending was attached to the flower when a moment of searching was done. If Terry had been introducing this to children in KMW's care, it's possible the datura is to blame for the sick kids, as well as the noises that scared Simon. People going through nightmare hallucinations would be likely to scream, thrash around, or be violently handled, right? Unless we hear about the return of these kids in Diary 2, we just don't know what happened to them. But we have a possible explanation. Debbie speaks about a new cartoon idea she and Simon have for Terry, who likes it and says his friends would be interested in making it. She's just glad animation isn't a thing for her anymore. It's so tedious, especially when Terry still makes us do it hand-drawn, then puts it in the computer. Like, it's so much work. That gives us a touch of insight into process. The concept is about a boy and girl in elementary school learning how to better themselves. I'm just glad Simon is okay with the characters not being human. I never liked drawing humans anyways. Too complicated and they always looked wrong. Animals are just better anyways. Can't fault you for that one, Debbie. The 90s were a hit for anthro characters. Grew on a lot of people. May 10th, 1997. Debbie and Simon meet to discuss the new show. It'll be about overcoming bullies, home troubles, bettering each other. She knows how much it reminds her of the two of them. The boy's a shy cat who struggles with talking to others but wants to make a lot of friends. He's always second-guessing himself and keeps thinking people don't like him when that couldn't be further from the truth. He's so sweet, always makes sure everyone is happy, selfless, and does all he can for those he cares about, even when it hurts him. And Debbie, little sweetheart, it's very clear you're falling in love with him as you write it. I'm guessing she doesn't even know at this point either. It's actually amazing how, in this area of the narrative, we're discovering an element we didn't expect to find. A love story, grown of years spent making each other safe. It's a lot of horror and looming threats we see all around us in the Giggleland narrative. But here, a warm place. It goes without saying, I think, that most people who make anything like mascot horror never do this. It's one of my highest points of praise to say that what we're experiencing now is so much more than the art of ARG. It's emotionally complex work that's generating the most necessary element of heart, empathy, and resonance. Some say, you didn't have to go this hard, but 27 pages out of 71, and the art speaks. Debbie goes on. He needs to learn how to set boundaries though. He keeps feeling like he's never enough, no matter how many times people tell him he's great. I wish he could see that in the way I see him. He needs to feel confident in himself because he's great just the way he is. I think it makes sense why he's a cat. Quiet, keeps to himself, and only opens up to those he really cares about. The other character is a girl who isn't afraid to be herself. She's confident and knows what she wants, and she isn't afraid to get her way. But she also needs to realize that being brave and bold is one thing, but sometimes it can be too much for people. She may accidentally push people away because she's so headstrong in her ways and doesn't like when things don't go her way. That's why she's a dog. She's playful and loving, but she likes to be in her own world. And we've witnessed this already in Debbie's adult life, which, being reminded of it, puts us immediately in a greater understanding and ability to empathize. Much as we feel for Sarah, Debbie is not an abstract, cold mother trying to shut down her daughter. She's a very traumatized woman who, we can already tell, has lost more than we expected by leaving the commune, and was aware of her personality difficulties since she was 14. These traits have, in fact, created distance between her and the only person in her life now. And it's created a situation resulting in her daughter's kidnapping, just like her mother experienced. All these years later, and Debbie understands what her mother felt the morning of November 23rd, 1990. May 11th is an outlining process for show elements, with a curious bit up top. Can't name the characters ourselves. Why would that be? Grim bit at the bottom, considering how things end up. Remember, this is for kids. Another sketch page for concept work with notes from Simon. Make them bald might be a joke, but also technically, a lack of hair on top is exactly what we ended up with. May 18th, Eliot and Ella's names are decided, and the story focus is brought around to how kids should deal with bullies. Terry is the genius, who decided Eliot's name should have one L while Ella has two. The concept is exactly what we've seen in the episodes that have been made. Eliot is getting bullied by some older kids and Ella has to help Eliot be brave to stand up to them. However, Ella is also protective of Eliot, so she wants to get back at them, so Eliot has to help her realize she can't stoop to a low level. Immediately wondering how that element fell so far off the map. Terry likes the colors and how it's different from Terry's vegetable patch, which he feels is ending. Debbie takes a moment to marvel about the work of the animators, which, by the way, major props to those animating for these episodes and the artists, and whoever's doing music and sound, and the voice acting, because I love your work, and I'm sure I speak for legions of people following this project when I say all that. I also imagine the voice actors for Eliot and Ella are out there giggling to themselves, pun kind of intended, knowing all the other lines they've recorded and the context in the future, waiting for those moments to arrive. Gotta be so exciting watching this all. May 20th. Debbie finally admits to herself she likes Simon. She also confesses that looking back at her previous writing, it's so obvious, but it feels really good to just state it. Then, of course, the natural process occurs. What if he doesn't like me? It's been so long, I don't want to ruin the friendship. I'm scared. I really do like him. And the true finisher, I just want him to be happy. May 22nd. Another dimension to Debbie is revealed in the form of the caretaker. It's a lot of work to do the cartoon, especially on top of her own farm chores and overseeing the kids and their duties. Then I have to help the teachers control the kids during school hours, and some classes are fine, but then there are others that just give me a headache, she writes. I hate saying that. I love these kids like they're my own siblings, but my God, they get so hyper before recess, and I can't blame the teachers for getting frustrated. Sometimes it feels like I have to calm the teachers and students, and it feels like I'm the adult sometimes, which can feel really overwhelming. Then Debbie experienced Simon noticing how tired she was and offering to cook for her, went through some maybe flirting, and that put her in emotional overdrive, and oh boy, anybody else getting flashbacks that make you smile? Remember though, this is the KMW commune, as Debbie writes. I know Terry says when we have these negative feelings to just let them out and then make them into something positive, but sometimes I don't want to create. Sometimes I just want to scream everything out and then go to bed. Is that so bad? Next entry, Debbie feels odd watching so much happen with a cartoon that she isn't involved with. Animation, writing, and still feeling tired all the same. She wishes she could leave the farm with the runners, but Terry says it's not her time. He's been saying that for a few years. What's the worst that could happen if she left for a few minutes anyway? Some of the kids seem to be feeling it too, and when she asks why they don't take field trips like the fair when they were younger, Terry says that was different. He doesn't want the kids on field trips no matter what. Debbie and Jessica would like to do some shopping, get some new clothes that aren't the old worn-out ugly things they've all worn, but only the runners get supplies, and they can't be selfish. May 28th, Debbie writes, I'm worried about the classes I've been helping. It seems like every day a couple of kids are absent. Some kids come back, but others have been gone for over a week. I try reaching out to the cabin guardians, but they just tell me the children are sick and need their rest. Are they that sick that I can't even stop by for a couple minutes to check in? I brought it up to Terry, and he told me I shouldn't worry so much. He remembers when I was little that a lot of kids got sick, and it was usually from adjusting to the new environment or getting sick from the germs from the animals. But for weeks? I don't think that's right. But Terry keeps telling me to not worry about it and that the kids will feel better soon. I asked Terry about Abby because she never came back after she got sick. Terry told me that Abby was a special case and that she needed to go back to her town to get treated. I asked where she went, but Terry told me he doesn't remember. He just knew she got in critical condition and they couldn't take care of her here. He swears he told me when she left, but I don't remember any of that. I never knew where Abby went that day. Now I can't even know where she is. He told me Freddie should be recovering soon, which I had forgotten about, honestly. The past few days have just been so hectic I haven't thought much about him. I haven't even had the time to ask Simon how he's been. Maybe I'm worrying for nothing. Are we all in agreement that Abby's dead and these other kids are dying? Yeah? Good. Moving on. May 30th. Debbie wonders if Terry read her journal because now she gets to go with the runners and is going with Simon. Jessica is playing Debbie's wing lady a bit, saying she needs to tell Simon how she feels, but what if he doesn't feel the same? What if it's awkward? What if the cartoon needs more episodes and they have to keep working together? The whole deal. Next day, Debbie comes back ecstatic. Simon likes her too. She thinks maybe they're dating and tomorrow they get to watch the cartoon together. They got out of the barn and it turns out they're pretty close to town, close enough to talk with a bit of hiking before finally reaching a car with heavily tinted windows. Being a runner is boring. They just buy groceries Terry wants, all healthy stuff, nothing fun. That night back at the farm, Simon offered to walk Debbie back to her cabin. She started talking about how much she liked spending time with him, which slipped into how much she liked him. He was shocked, and then he confessed. So, as you can imagine, Debbie's doing amazing. And then another entry that night. I just saw something kind of scary and I don't know who else to tell about it. Simon and I were cleaning the barn together and then we heard screaming. Simon got really worried because he said it sounded just like those screams he heard when he was little. I forgot he had those nightmares. The animals in the barn were fine and there wasn't even a full moon. It just didn't sound like an animal. So they investigated and found blood in the middle of the field, fresh, and a lot of it. Simon told me we had to find out what was going on. He held my hand as we followed the blood trail. I really didn't want to go any further after that. I don't like the sight of blood to begin with, and it could have been from a wild animal. The blood led to a shed behind the barn, where they weren't allowed. Simon was persistent on getting in, but Terry saw them and asked what was going on. Debbie saw his shoes were stained red. There were red spots on his arm. He tried to explain he was just working with his friends to slaughter the meat, and was surprised they didn't know he did that. Debbie didn't remember him ever saying it was a job he performed. He smiled. It seemed forced. Debbie feels like they saw something they weren't meant to see. June 1st. I think something is wrong with Terry. I don't know what he's doing or what he's on, but he's changed and I don't like it. He changed the cartoon. It wasn't anything like what we made. The beginning was the same. It was so cute. But then the middle is when things got weird. The dialogue was darker and Simon was really upset by that. Terry shouted at us to be quiet while the show played. I never heard him yell like that before. The cartoon turned violent. There was so much blood. I almost passed out and Terry got angry at me. He told me I was overreacting and that I wasn't grateful for his help. I had no idea how to respond. I don't understand what he did or why. He told us this is how all cartoons will be moving forward. They needed to be dark and show the human spirit. They needed to be lessons children could understand clearly and know who is right or wrong. Simon tried to propose some changes, but Terry told us it was too late. The cartoon was going to be shown to the children tomorrow and we weren't allowed to make edits. I have no idea what's going on with him. Wow. This nails it in, then, about the question of KMW's views on media for children. Giggleland, in its presentation, is as genuine as it could ever be if orchestrated by Terry. Eliot and Ella was never meant to be this way. It has been twisted by the commune itself. Terry made it so. The clues we've been given about what's disrupting people at the commune, the Datura. Has Terry been taking it himself? Is he the product of years of going on bad trips? Or is this who he's been all along, with whatever's been holding him back slipping away? Dr. Terry, who are you? June 2nd, 1997. Terry's becoming delusional. He keeps saying this cartoon is going to be seen by millions of children. I have no idea how that's supposed to happen when all we have is the public access channel. I also don't want that aired anywhere. And thus, the TV hijacking. It's exactly what I was musing about earlier. It had to be a hijacking, because the animation in its violent form is authentic, and no one would accept it in the outside world. Open the vision further. If Terry has stayed delusional this entire time, what would we get all these years later? Giggleland. There's an effort to make sure that his views on kids' media is going to reach as big an audience as possible. And in today's time, we know exactly how that works. Debbie goes on. I'm worried Terry is getting sick. I don't know what he's become. He's so hyper now and pushing the boundaries for what is okay. I hate this. I hate it. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't what Simon or I wanted. Why did he do this? Simon's tried all he could to not get the tape shown. He begged, pleaded, nothing. Terry just smiled and told him to be confident that everything will be okay. I don't know what I should do. The next entry, we learn Terry didn't. He showed it to the kids. Debbie and Simon tried to stop it, but Terry's friends prevented them. All they could do was watch the children become horrified at what they saw. Terry had to come in to calm down the children afterwards. I was hoping maybe this would snap Terry out of whatever he's been in and realize he's been acting crazy. He doesn't think so. He actually told the kids that this is what cartoons should be. Cartoons should be about learning right from wrong in the most extreme way possible to prevent the children from falling out of line. Children need to learn from their pain and use it as a canvas to create ideas, and then he said that's what we did. He framed this as Simon and I. I have no idea how I'm supposed to come to school anymore, let alone the entire barn, if they think we wanted to do this. This isn't what we wanted. I don't want this. Debbie's description of events confirms the reality of Giggleland's presentation beyond any previous speculation. Terry was adamant about striking children with horror as a legitimate media approach in 1997. If he has anything to do with KMW at all, or his ideology, every aspect of what we've seen is in fact purposeful. The next day, Simon and Debbie met up alone. Simon always felt something was wrong in the barn, ever since they were little. Freddie is still missing, and they know Abby was never truly explained. This is when Simon shares that he believes the sick kids are dead, and he thinks Terry did something to them. Whatever's gone wrong inside him, they have to play along in the idea that life is normal. It's the only way to figure out what's going on. They have to stay close to Terry. Running is not an option. Simon has been fortified. Debbie does want to know the truth, but she's terrified. Diary 3 enters, showing a family of rabbits. A mother, a father, and 2 babies between them. It's now April 9th, 2006, and Debbie writes, I still can't believe we're having twins. I still can't believe we're here. She's begged Simon to get them out of the commune, not just for their sake, but the children. Simon's been working on it, and she shouldn't worry. Easy to say, not easy to do. They're both trying to be strong, and they're both scared. April 14th, 2006. I don't know how Simon is able to sit in the creative rooms with Terry and his friends. I can't draw in there, especially now. It would be too much on the babies. But I don't think I could stomach what they're doing to our characters. The cartoons have gotten worse. They're so violent and terrifying. Eliot and Ella weren't meant to be like that. They were 2 kids trying to figure things out and learn how to become better people. I know I can't object and I have to keep quiet to keep the peace, but I don't feel good knowing these are the things being shown to children. It's disgusting, and it sickens me that his friends all play along with him. There's an extra element of tragedy here. Debbie's own daughter is now a victim of Terry's infected version of her and Simon's first love child. For all the years she spent enduring Terry's infliction of horror on the kids of the commune, she couldn't manage to keep it away from Sarah. In the end, she fulfilled her own prophecy in maintaining Ella's stubborn nature. 2 days later, an entry confirming what we've been suspecting. So Simon isn't just writing anymore, he's programming? Well, at least that's better than having to write those cartoons. I know some of Terry's friends were also programmers. They worked on the sites for KMW and Simon had a hand in those too. Add this to the pile of evidence for Simon being the mastermind of the KMW media rollout that's led us to Sarah and the true nature of the commune. Eliot's adventure? Gotta be him. The concept of slashing a bunch of creatures throughout the forest? Gotta be Terry. Next entry, confirmation. So Simon isn't just programming for the websites, but now Terry wants to make video games? I know the kids have laptops and they get to play games on there, but I didn't think that was something KMW could do. Debbie says he's been coming home later at night, apparently working around the clock to get the game done quickly. Terry doesn't just want to make his ideas terrifying, he wants to rob him of any excess energy. Makes sense. Simon also isn't sure what the game is even about. He's only doing the programming and hasn't seen the art. Debbie feels the baby's kick and tells Simon. He just nods. She doesn't know how to make him happy. April 22nd, we learn the game is about Eliot. Gotta be Eliot's adventure. Debbie says he doesn't need to work on that, but Simon says he needs to. He promises that everything is going to be okay and that something good will happen soon. April 23rd. Simon just taught me a code that wasn't programming code. He calls it tap code, where you use numbers that can be translated into letters and can be used to communicate with other people. I never heard of codes like this before, and honestly, it feels good to focus on something that isn't the game. Actually, can tap code be used in the video game? I'm still not understanding how it all works. Simon seems to be really into it. It's been a while since I saw his eyes light up like that. It reminded me of when we made our first cartoon together, how happy he was to be writing the script together. I miss when we were happy like that. Tap code in conjunction with the game. Quickly looking it up, we find the grid used for solving tap code is the Polybius square. That means we already know what Simon encoded. We got it at the end of the blanket run after the picture of Renee Spitz. Which means the message was 100% him leaving instructions for Debbie to run. Which means the entire wave of activity in Act 2 and anything revealing the history of Sarah and Debbie has got to be Simon. He is the site programmer, the game programmer, the one who led us here, who promised to reunite the family. By majority, it must be Simon. April 29th. Debbie's had a baby shower. All the gifts were handmade and wonderfully so, but were all themed after the damn show. She had to force a smile through it all and pretend she was thankful to see this shit in her house. April 29th. I hadn't cried this hard since I was little. It hurts so much. His eyes keep staring at me, and all I can think is what Terry has done. I can't use any of this. Simon saw the furniture and just put a blanket over it. That doesn't make this go away. I hate this. A marvelous realization just dawned on me. This is exactly what mascot horror is at large. It's taking something so well-intentioned, so pure-minded, and then twisting it, bleeding it, turning it into horror like a mad little tyrant who insists that children need to be shocked, that stories for the youth ought to be terrifying. Douse it in blood, go for violence and scare factor. And isn't that what we've seen in the last decade? Give the kids gore, especially in something bright and clean and marketed towards them. The decline of Dr. Terry and his bloodlust ruining Eliot and Ella, then insisting on it and demanding more, finding new ways to expand on it as technology did. That is legitimately mascot horror or kids media horror as a subgenre. Let's call a spade a spade. The sweeping majority of what's out there in this subgenre isn't high art or anything aside from a gory appetite injected into product to make it sell more by indulging cravings and riding a trend. Violence and the allure of unspeakable evil in story are the spectacle and the impact. Most of it is Dr. Terry's bloodlust at play. What if this pure and innocent thing for kids was suddenly hijacked by some psychopath who turned it violent and evil? Shock them, horrify them, do the Jekyll and Hyde transformation right in front of the kids to get their attention. And right here, in the Giggleland narrative, we're made to look this in the eyes and acknowledge it for what it is. A delusional love affair missing the point of a good horror story. The deeper we go into Giggleland, the more we find colors in the work outside red and black. This story is expanding far past any of its bloodstrokes. I'm thrilled that the creators are willing to go there, but even more ecstatic that they're willing to go here. Is there a human toll when a psycho does devastate your kid's media darling? Yes, there actually is, and I think we've overlooked this experience for a long time. Has anybody stopped to look at the other side of the table and see the people who truly make this stuff for a living, who actually mean it? Has anybody considered those feelings? I think it's been put right in front of us. And it may translate in ways that feel like a more visceral, horrible loss. May 2nd, 2006, Debbie writes, I still don't know if that was real. I'm alone with my baby girl. The one baby girl. The midwife helped me a lot. Simon and Terry were here for the birth. I didn't want Terry, but Simon wouldn't tell him to leave. I fucking hate him. Something happened during the process. I still don't understand. It hurt like hell, but I knew it would. I didn't know how much it would actually hurt. The first baby came out and the second one shortly after. She told me the cords became tangled. Terry said I had to act quickly. He said only one could survive. I couldn't believe it. It was another delusion from Terry. But the midwife agreed. One of my babies died before I could even hold her. Terry first held the baby and called her the miracle child, that my firstborn gave her life to save her sister. I felt sick. I felt uneasy. Terry told me this is what was meant to be, that each life is to be selfless. And I'm alone with my one baby girl, and Simon isn't even here. I don't know how much longer I can do this. The next few entries consist of a short experience, rather to the point, and delivered with Debbie's exhaustion. Simon doesn't seem broken. He comes home smiling, saying the game is done, and he's got a special edition on a laptop he'll be bringing just for her at home. On May 6th, it appears Debbie's got the message from the end of the blanket run, and in her final entry, on May 13th, she writes, Sarah. Her name is Sarah. Wow, wow, wow. When is the last time any project like this really had you in the emotional depth and writing department? Because I'll tell you what, at the end of Act 1, I stood in Giggleland's corner and said it. This can't be just to promote a game and the game is successful in sales and that's it. This ARG experience is too good for that. This is an opportunity to do it big time on the scale of the indie heroes of the field. And you know what's happened with Act 2? Giggleland recognized that opportunity and created an experience that is so rewarding in the ARG. It will stand strong on its own, no matter how the Steam game turns out. And I've got faith in that game too. They've done it. This is the kind of achievement you sit back and wish for, knowing that someday someone's going to be bold enough to go to this length, and I'm thrilled. This is art. This is art. End of Act 1, I said, show us what you've got, and Act 2, double down. Hell yes. From the media pieces, the interweaving gameplay, the way your players united to get the job done, the commitment to interactive elements, the character writing, the character complexity, the character acting, the echoes of character experience and forming circles in the writing, the excellence of theme work and quiet touches that speak to other pieces, the quality and dedication in every aspect you put out. This is a gold star experience. Do you know what a mark of achievement it is to put out puzzles this tough and people still manage to bust through? then you're legitimately sitting at your desk watching like a hawk for a moment that could arrive at any second, ready to flip the reward switch for the video drop. Outstanding. Obviously, we've got plenty of questions still, even if Act 2 answered a lot. What really happened to that baby? What exactly was Terry doing all this time? What broke him? Are the ruins in Eliot's adventure and the items to collect there related to anything Simon figured out? Or just related to the Agent Aztec use of Datura? In the confusion of KMW versus Simon for Giggleland's rollout, who is playing which elements of the media for sure? There are a few things I think we can talk about. The baby. There's a little more evidence for the idea she actually was stillborn through the use of lifeless finger as code by Simon through the website work, unless Terry and the midwife lied to him successfully and raised one of their daughters in secret. There's also the message from Oak Barrel Brew. I've been reviewing the hospital archives for months now, the old films from the orphanage ward from the 50s. No one questions why. They assume it's for my research on developmental psychology. They don't know I'm looking for something specific. Renee Spitz documented it perfectly in 1952. Infants deprived of their mothers during the first year of life for more than 5 months deteriorate progressively. Their face becomes vacuous. Their activity is restricted to atypical, bizarre finger movements. They are unable to sit, stand, walk, or talk. Those finger movements aren't random. They're communicating the same message across decades, across continents, from every abandoned child. My research on developmental psychology. That reads much more like writing from Dr. Terry than it does like Simon, right? If Simon has largely been running the show for us from the start, dropping all kinds of messages, then this theme of infants crying and the relationship to the mother may speak to a much more horrifying reality than a stillborn child. Dr. Terry lied, kept the baby, and raised it under experimental psychology viewpoints, if only to see how much weight previous psychoanalyst observations really had, like Renee Spitz. Why would Simon include that passage if not to put us onto something? What did he, in all these years at KMW, find out about Dr. Terry before deciding it was time to locate Sarah and Debbie? I am very certain at this point that the sweeping majority of KMW's Giggleland rollout is Simon's doing, and they were unaware of how much he got through. Giggleland is real, and under Terry's direction. That much I believe from all appearances. And it's gonna be fucked up if Terry is still alive directing this. You want nasty? It's probably gonna get nasty. Especially if mascot horror is a climate Terry recognizes as affirmation of the truth he believed back in 1997. We've given him his playground. We have affirmed his worldview. But in the midst of playing along, Simon was at work, doing what he could, and that meant running a whole campaign of media leaking to launch his grand plan, the same way he did with Eliot's adventure. It worked back then, it can work for him again, and it appears to have already happened with Sarah, or we wouldn't have the phone pictures hidden in the dev build. And then we have the village here, which previously felt like a toss-up between the reality of the commune and the act of leaving the commune. What we understand now very clearly is that none of them are definitely children except Ellen. And due to the timing of the game's construction, it turns out the answer as to what the scene depicts is both of the prior arguments. It's the reality of the commune and the leaving of it due to everything we now understand. It works for both. It's who they are and who Simon needs Laura and their friends to be at the same time. It's also why they're all dismissive of Eliot except the kid who hasn't seen the cartoon, but has been reminded of a book she knows, which is the most hopeful, reinforcing message about the good Eliot is at his core that Simon ever could have left his wife. That was another moment of love for her and the art they made together. With all the foresight and media planning, is it possible the inclusion of Agent Aztec elements in Eliot's adventure speaks to something Simon did figure out about Terry? Maybe some more horrific delusions related to the Agent Aztec practices of human sacrifice. The knives, the medals, the skulls and stone heads. Pretty ritualistic objects, aren't they? The Datura connections are pretty easy to make, and when you consider another name for them is moonflower, you may be able to relate their effects to the alleged animal lunacy Terry claimed made the frightening noises. They're not to be confused with the other moonflower, the night version of Morning Glories, which I've actually planted before. They're very cool to watch. They're big white blooms that open up around evening and stay until morning. Morning glories, by the way, are also psychoactive and were used by the Aztec people. Apparently, the morning glory variety was utilized as a poison to induce horrific hallucinations. This practice of flower use in Aztec culture is so prevalent and well documented that there's a whole article about it on Wikipedia. Aztec use of entheogens. And if you go into the idea that ancient Aztec culture is much more than environment work for Eliot's adventure, you find a lot. This is where more of the collaborative nature of ARG investigation comes into play. The next segment, I credit mainly to users Aurora and Kisu, who did a lot of investigating on the Aztec angle by way of actual books as well as online searches, and just kept turning up connections. Do you remember the special creature that spawns and then drops the datura, the blue two-headed snake? The Codex Aben is an Aztec codex from Europe, written by the Spanish between 1576 and 1607. In Folio 7, there's a depiction of Cotopetal, Snake Mountain, with this imagery of either a pair of blue snakes coming out underneath, or maybe one two-headed blue snake. This one's a touch ambiguous, but surprising enough to see that you immediately hone in. Other elements are harder to shake off, like these moving gore piles dropping skulls. According to a dictionary by Remy Simeon, it's a ghost that appeared at night. It is said of him that he had neither feet nor head, that he formed a mass, a package that rolled on the ground moaning. This burning snake relates easily to Xiaocotl, the spirit form of an Aztec fire deity. It drops the sun metal, which is also the ancient Aztec calendar. Stone heads from the stone or clay men, we can look at the Mixtec codices, describing people emerging from the earth as stone men. As for the knives, well, in Christian Duverger's book, The Lethal Flower, yes, really, The Lethal Flower, there's a passage related to the god Tlaloc and archaeological remains found at the Great Pyramid of Tenochtitlan. In every case, the 42 children, mostly males aged around 6, were suffering from serious cavities, abscesses or bone infections that would have been painful enough to make them cry continually. Tlaloc required the tears of the young so their tears would wet the earth. As a result, if children did not cry, the priest would sometimes... Well, you don't want to hear the next bit. But the end result is ritual sacrifice for the purpose of appeasing a god to secure rain for the entire population. Do you see the connection? Tears and rain? We've had plenty in the narrative so far related to making children cry, haven't we? Also related to children and Aztec beliefs. From the Illustrated Dictionary of the Gods and Symbols of Ancient Mexico and the Maya, we have this. Mesoamerican peoples generally believe twins to be dangerous. The Aztecs considered the birth of twins a malevolent omen and to be such a source of misfortune that one of them should be killed at birth. I think of the term Simon used for the password, lifeless finger, and I think of all of this ancient Aztec imagery, the direct relation of the datura and conjunction, this information regarding the treatment of their children, and Terry's delusion at Sarah and her twins' birth, and it paints the darkest of pictures. Simon knew if they stayed, Terry would do something to Sarah. What did he know about what actually happened to her twin? We know from his talk about animal lunacy and phases of control through the moon that Terry has some odd beliefs. Children go missing in the commune. Screaming and loud, violent noises are heard at night. On one occasion, blood is found, and Terry has blood on him. Then he goes full tilt into violent media to horrify children, make them cry. Child sacrifices were made to Tlaloc, a god of rain, fertility, and water associated with agriculture. Rituals related to pleasing Tlaloc made it such a point that the children had to cry, or the crops would suffer for the year, bringing devastation to their civilization. The commune existed on a farm, trying to be self-sufficient. And then there's the Festival of Ossazonli, also dealing with child sacrifices and caves, and the flayed skin of the sacred victims worn by priests, which we've seen. The connection to the game is clear on two fronts, the most prominent being the God Mode flower ending. And now we may understand the significance of God Mode being active to get this, and the ending of Eliot and Ella Episode 2. And this all makes sense of a peculiarity I noticed within the game that I just couldn't properly explain beyond the crying theme resurfacing. In each area, at point 00, discovered by using the Move Player command, you will encounter a water drop materializing and falling. And it's not random. I've tested this several times to make very sure. This odd teardrop or raindrop is activated by killing a creature and then running to the activation zone. And if you kill multiple creatures and run to the 0-0 position, you will see multiple drops. It's reliable, but you've got to be a little quick, and sometimes there's a light delay, but I've given this so much testing to figure out how it works and doesn't work. Killing leads to rain in Eliot's adventure. If Simon used Eliot's adventure to send as many messages as he could after years of learning what Terry's up to, it's indicating a turn towards ancient god worship by Aztec methods. Maybe Terry's not using Datura at all. Maybe that was just our trailhead. But the amount of sickness experienced by children is telling, and Simon gave us a reason kids in this situation might fall ill. I'll also add this, which I found while looking at old stuff related to the ancient Aztec. This is Xochipilli, a god called the Flower Prince. Look at those colors. Then look at this mysterious 3D head character in episode 2. It's not the Flower Prince, but you can't deny this coloring rings a bell. The ancient Aztec people and the Mesoamerican cultures were not all about sacrifice and things of this nature. There was so much more to them. Just when it comes to Terry, he seems to be particularly focused on some very specific elements. Ooh. Ooh. This act of Giggleland has fangs, man. There was a lot of examination, a lot of media, amazing coordination by players and determination. And I'm going to need some fresh air and a coffee after that rundown, I tell you what. I am the most excited for this game I've ever been. This is a potent narrative adventure with character depth and complexity, themes and human moments that empower all the other notes and deepen the impact of its horror. Giggleland is art. I'm all in for this. I'm going to sit and marvel for a while how powerfully they nailed an ARG that stands strong before even getting to the Steam release. And seriously, this is now more clearly than ever an uncompromising horror story. You don't want to engage with this unless you're prepared for this level of evil in storytelling and potential imagery. If this is what they've got in Act 2, what do you guys have next? If this is what you're willing to do right now, what are you holding back on? Do I want to know? Yeah, of course I want to know. I'll be here for that. My last message to the Giggleland devs at this time. Thank you, and keep on kicking ass. Ditto to the members of the Giggleland Discord. It's awesome to go through the thrill of this adventure with you. Everybody who's been making Giggleland, seriously, major thumbs up. Please, keep horrifying and thrilling us. How do I do my outro again? Right. Subscribe to this channel, that's probably Simon's, in case of sudden activity. I've got the link in the video description, don't worry, you won't have to type that in. And subscribe here to Nightmind for Act 3 exploration of Giggleland, as well as all the office visits to spend on other adventures in the unfiction field. For more constant coverage, there's also Nightmind Live, where I recently explored the spring update for Welcome Home, among many more streams, like the return of I Am Selfie. Just check the Live tab for any archive streams. The Videos tab is where direct uploads go of edited streams that make them more compact, cleaned up for pacing, and have the stylistic care of my editor Moon. That's actually where you can find the I Am Selfie stuff, by the way. If you're on Twitch, follow Nick_Nocturne for that version of the live experience. Often, the creators of projects I'm covering show up to discuss their work and interact with viewers, making for very special occasions. We have the voice actors for Wally Darling, Frank Frankly, Barnaby B. Beagle, Howdy Pillar, and Julie Joyful in chat for that Welcome Home update, and got to wave up hi to Clown 2. We'd love to see you there. And that's all for tonight, everyone. Thanks again to all those making the Giggleland experience. Thanks to all of you for watching. And thanks to my supporters on Patreon, who empower not just Nightmind, but the Nightmind Index for new, undiscovered, and emerging unfiction projects. And where you, like so many others, can join my project consultation tier for guidance, feedback, quality assurance, and workshopping. Patreon also supports my editor Moon, who's been working on the next Nightmind video. Thanks for joining me in the dark again this evening. Once more, I'm Nick Nocturne, and until you see me again, hang in there, baby. Until next time, sleep tight.